Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll try to figure out what's happening on Wall Street as the stock market takes another massive hit. Also tonight, how best to prepare students for the workplace, and we'll look at how Earth-like planets outside the solar system are discovered. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Another rough day on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell more than 500 points for the second time in as many days of trading. Economist Jim Rounds with Elliott D. Pollock and Company joins us now to try to make sense of this volatile market. Jim, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you. Thanks.
Down 1,000 points in the opening minutes of trading, ends
Right.
up like at 588 down. What's going on out there?
Well, so there's two things going on. I think the bigger issue is what could we expect and then what was unanticipated. And we knew that there was going to be a market correction, so maybe around 10%, 5 to 10% for the last several months, only because the economic fundamentals weren't supporting a stock market, whether you look at the Dow or whatever it may be, growing at the rate it was. And it wasn't that long ago that we were worried about a bubble maybe forming in the stock market. So we knew a correction was going to happen. It's the scale that was unanticipated, and that's been largely driven by what's happened in China.
I want to get to China in a second, but you're calling this now a correction. Some are saying it could be signs of a bear market and other things. What are you seeing out there?
Well, so people are more sensitive to outside news than they were before. And we went through a really tough downturn. People are worried about their retirement portfolios, whatever it may be. And some of that lingered. Even though we're well into the recovery, it hasn't really felt like it. It hasn't been a typical recovery. So there's like a little bit of psychology going on still. But it's the unexpected stuff happening in areas that, like the Chinese stock market and how China's performing. A big deal because it's such a large economy. But we've been hearing things like about Greece and what's been happening in Europe and whether or not North Korea is going to have some additional problems with South Korea. So all of these little things have been brewing, but it hasn't been a big enough deal. But we finally got into a country that's big enough where people are freaking out a little bit, and I think that they just need to cool down and maybe let some of this pass, because I think some of this is emotion. It's not based on the economic fundamentals that we often talk about.
So you don't, and other economists I would imagine, don't see this as maybe the initial sign or the initial signs of a global recession?
Well, there's some out there that are just knuckleheads that are calling for the next apocalypse, and they've been calling for hoarding of water and canned foods and guns. And these are the people that are just trying to get some attention. What you want to look at is the economic information over a longer period of time. We've been growing, GDP's been growing at least a moderate pace. We've been adding jobs at the US level. Globally, there's been a little bit of a slowdown in a lot of countries, but the underlying economic data is that we would see moderate growth. We would have to see a lot of potential shocks happen to derail that economic growth. So the U.S. should be somewhat shielded by what we've heard so far, and that's the key. Is what we've heard so far the full picture, or is there still some more to come? And that's what we don't know.
What do we know so far about what's happening in China? Why the big sell-off over there?
Well, you can't sustain growth like what they had. There was some problems in terms of developing a real estate bubble. You recently saw the currency devaluation. So there are a lot of signs that the economy is slowing. And there were reports that China was growing by as much as 10% compared to, say, our 2.5% to 3%, and it's slowing rapidly. It's a big part of the U.S., or it's a big part of the global economy. It's the second largest economy. And so if they start to have problems, even if we're growing moderately, it's going to pull us down just a bit. But there's a lot of other countries throughout the world that are slowing as well, so you have to pay attention to them as well. But in terms of back home in the U.S., we're still seeing enough growth where I think at worst, unless something is out there that hasn't been discussed yet, we might see maybe of 0.25% knocked off of our GDP, or maybe 0.5%. So we drop from 3 to 2.5. That's still a big deal. But we're not talking about falling into a recession. It would have to be things escalating in China combined with 7 or 8 other things that would create a series of shocks that would derail our economy and what's happening in the stock market.
As far as the market is concerned, these massive drops, what's going to stop them?
Well, it tends to swing more than it should. And so you end up seeing stock market growth greater than what the underlying fundamentals would suggest. you don't necessarily always develop a bubble, but you see growth and then it maybe drops off a bit. Right now we're in that period where people are emotional and they're a little bit uncertain about what you're going to see, so you're going to see the stock market drop a little bit back down below what the fundamentals would suggest, and then it's probably going to recover. So if we hear the same stories that we've been hearing the last few days, I think things are going to stabilize, not a whole lot different than where maybe we saw today with the Dow around 16 to 17,000, but look for people to be saying, I didn't anticipate this happening, or this was unexpected. When you hear that wording, then you know things could maybe get a little worse, but it's not time to panic yet.
Interesting. So 1,000 points down in the last 2 days of trading. No time to jump out of a window, at least not now.
A low window, maybe. But no. People need to remain calm, and hopefully everything will be okay and people will kind of get back to their normal way of evaluating investments within the next couple of weeks.
I'm still shocked to hear the Dow Jones in the teens. I mean, when I hear 16, 17,000, something had to give.
You also have to maintain perspective. Look at where we were during the recession.
Yes.
And so even with what's happening in China, yeah, it's coming off some of the highs that it had, and it's been dropping a lot since around June, but it's still significant. It's still posting significant growth compared to the prior year. So it's like all the other economic data that we discussed. One data point really doesn't tell the story. You got to kind of look at the package. And right now, not time to freak out yet. It might be a little bit better than the news stories that you're hearing, but you don't have to go buy guns and canned goods and water just yet.
All right. Good news. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Education looks at how summer school can mean a variety of things to Arizona students. Producer Shauna Fisher and photographer Langston Fields take us to one local school where summer classes mean learning skills for the jobs of the future.
It's a lot nicer to have just one block of code than 3 or 4.
Dylan Hong is paying it forward. This past spring, he graduated from Phoenix Country Day School. He was captain of the robotics team, and now he's teaching at summer school.
I teach Lego robotics and also robotics with Bobots.
Hong wants to inspire the next generation and spark a desire in the science and technology fields.
PCDS summer programs has showed me actually how awesome it is to help kids get on their way to becoming engineers.
There you go.
While the summer school lineup at PCDS is filled with traditional subjects like math and chemistry, there's also graphic design, digital photography, and programming.
This summer class is less of like, oh, you flunked or you missed out and you have to redo it. It's more of laying down the groundwork for a kid to be interested in technology for the rest of their lives. Because when you have so much fun with it, it's hard not to be curious about what comes next.
Nicole Pope teaches rocket science. Today is launch day for her students. They've spent most of the week building rockets and doing some fine-tuning. Now it's time to see if their trial and error has paid off.
Launching in 3, 2, 1. It's going down. It's going down.
Pope says the idea behind classes like hers is simple.
So what we're trying to accomplish by offering these classes is we really want to ignite students' interest and hopefully steer them towards a career in some kind of science, technology, or engineering job. Usually it's after the first launch that kids come back in the class and they get in my face and they say, Miss Pope, this is what I want to do. This is the job I want to have. Like, how do you get a job launching rockets, or how do you get a job engineering these things? And it's really, really exciting to see.
Instead of spending his summer playing video games and hanging out, Kyle Auden is taking Hong's robotics class.
Basically what we do is we program robots to complete missions. Some missions might be we have to flick a lever to take down Dr. Freeze, the villain in Arctic Adventures. And sometimes we would have to take out these ice cores. And if we get a lot of points, then we win. And winning is amazing.
And while he does love winning, Kyle says he's coming away with something even better, knowing what he wants to be when he grows up.
I basically like mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering, and I want to invent stuff to help change the world because I like changing the world.
Dylan Hong is headed to Tufts University this fall, where he will major in engineering. Joining us now to talk about what employers look for and how schools are preparing students is Chris Camacho, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, Dick Foreman, President and CEO of the Arizona Business and Education Council, and John David Bowman, the 2015 Arizona Teacher of the Year. Good to have you all here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you, too, on that award.
Thank you.
Chris, we'll start with you. Work readiness. When we talk about work readiness, what are we talking about?
Companies today want a market that produces people and produces people that are well prepared for the workforce. We're seeing intense activity in degreed areas like information communication technologies, preparation for financial services, for advanced manufacturing, and how companies are analyzing markets today is all about whether or not we have the people producing marketplace that allows these companies to go to scale.
These people producing marketplaces, are we the difference between preparing for work skills, work world, and college preparedness, is there a difference?
There is a difference, and I think one of the things that we need to grapple with better is career pathways, preparing students for a number of different options, including college is great for a lot of them. A lot of them are ready to go right into business. Others are more technically oriented, and I think our schools have a massive obligation and responsibility to define which students are on which path and help them get there. As a teacher, can you define that path, and how do you do it?
Well, I think we have a growing career technical area that at our school in different districts where we have welding, agriculture, auto mechanics, all these different programs that we're implementing. And really, you can select kids, but it's also the students who want to join those areas, they seek that out themselves.
So basically, it's not as difficult, but you have to make it, those that do seek it out themselves, you have to make it attractive to them, don't you?
Well, the way I look at it, we're seeing companies today recognize the importance of the future technical labor force, whether that technical labor force is tied to vocational training around welding or other advanced manufacturing type programs and certifications, or it's a 2-year technical path or even a 4-year path. And we talked a little bit about pathways before. This market in the next 20 years, how we manipulate or actually influence the ability for kids to get on these pathways to where the future job market's going to be, that's what companies care about today. Are we training the next engineer? Are we training the next skilled worker in technician technician capacity? Are we training the next teachers? And I think that in the future is going to be what drives our economic base, whether we've aligned workforce development education tied to where the future jobs are going to be.
What about soft skills, behavioral skills, the ability to work with others, controlling yourself, showing to work on time? I mean, can you teach that in high school?
I think you can, and I think you can model it, more importantly, with your curriculum and with your insistence on high standards. Many of the classic liberal arts programs that are popular now really focus on communication, social skills, working with others. There's no magic wand that says there's a perfect solution for every student, but there's a lot of good evidence out there that we can do a better job.
Have we changed that line of instruction over the years?
I think the line, unfortunately, and maybe John David can comment on this even more effectively, a lot of this has been built around accountabilities that have been set. So there's this teaching to a test phenomenon we experience. I don't know that that's necessarily what Chris is talking about, what the business community needs. I don't think it's necessarily what the teachers want to do. We got to be careful that our curriculum is broad-based. Arts and sciences and music play a huge role in the learning experience. STEM courses, technical courses. Career pathways is a complex thing, and the real bottom line is we need student engagement to keep them in school.
What do you see as a teacher along those lines?
Well, I would say in terms of teaching interpersonal communication and being able to articulate your thoughts, being able to behave, show up on time, those things can be taught in high school or younger. I do think that with things like college and career ready standards, some of the different things that teachers have been implementing, the strategies that they're using, it's very different than maybe the vision of a 1950s classroom where everyone just sits all the rows in the desk and we just do our work on a worksheet for 55 minutes. It's, if you get out there and go into the classrooms in Arizona, you're going to see teachers interacting with students, students in small groups, people working, developing those communication skills on a daily basis.
When you talk to businesses, they're thinking of relocating here, they're thinking of figuring out whether they want to stay here. What did they say as far as the skills they're looking for, what they need?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, John David talked a lot about the applied teaching, and I think a lot of that's occurring in our education system today. What companies are looking for, you know, both the soft skills and the hard skills, because again, going back to the pathways conversation, they don't want to come to a market where they feel that as they're trying to attract workers within their domain area, that the market's going to be cannibalized by one particular company coming to a market. So when State Farm comes to the market and brings thousands of jobs, they don't want to see Discover Card and Amex and others cannibalize the workforce. Rather, they'd like to see a continued pipeline and ensuring that we have our education system, both K through 12, to align with our post-secondary system with participation from industry. So one thing I've really worked to do at GPAC is integrate, along with Dick's work at ABEC, is really to integrate the private sector into this conversation, because that is the future of really ensuring that we have the right pipeline for student and ultimately the workforce.
Can that integration include internships, apprenticeships, those sorts of things, or are we going too far back to Charles Dickens' days?
No, I think that's extremely relevant. Maybe we could learn from Charles Dickens. We should probably reread. The fact is, internships are extremely valuable, and work experiences are extremely valuable. That goes back to, again, what John David was talking about. Those are practical social skills being applied in a real-life setting. We'll take all the internships we can get and say thank you twice.
As far as, again, career building versus a general education, mentioned tests and those sorts of things. What do you think of that? I mean, accountability is huge, obviously, these days. But what businesses are looking for, can you improve?
Can you test that?
Well, can you test it, and can a test improve on those skills?
You know, I think that there is a place for assessments. I do think that we have maybe too much of an emphasis, or we have too many tests throughout a school year. I don't know if there's a written exam that is necessarily going to test whether or not a student is going to be able to have great interpersonal communication skills or be able to work well with others. So I think tests serve a place in the curriculum, because there's things that they need to be held accountable for, and that you do need to have an assessment. But I don't know if there's one that's going to test for, can you show up? Do you show up on time?
Right.
Check yes or no. I mean,
do you have integrity?
Right.
10 seconds, one word response, or as close as you can. Magic bullet, what would you like to see?
Economic developers can't do anything in one word. I would like to see more alignment.
Okay. What would you like to see, Dick?
Student engagement.
Student engagement. Interesting. Teacher of the Year, what do you want to see?
So many things. I would like to see more of a highlight on the positive things that are going on in education.
Very good. Great discussion. Good to have you all here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Beside Highway 191 near Clifton is a memorial to 1880s Arizona law and order. Then, as now, the Clifton Cliff Jail is a two-room hole, blasted from solid rock and fitted with iron bars paid for by the owners of Clifton's first copper mine. Local tradition says the jail's first unwilling guest was the local stonemason hired to build it. When he finished the jail, the mason decided to celebrate at Clifton's Hovey Dance Hall, where he downed snakehead whiskey and shot up the place. The dance hall belonged to the deputy sheriff, who rewarded his rowdy patron with a compulsory stay in his own creation. In 1906, a flash flood filled the ground-level Bastille with water and mud, forcing the rescue of the prisoners by rope and the jail's closure. Today, it's dry, and visitors are welcome to take an eerie step down and back into Arizona history.
Planet Hunters is an exhibit at the Arizona Science Center's Dorrance Planetarium that shows how new planets outside our solar system are discovered. Mike George joins us now. He's Senior Manager of Planetarium Astrovisualizations. For the Science Center, that's quite a title you got there. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It is quite a title. It's like 800 miles long.
It is, almost to the nearest star. What is Planet Hunters?
Planet Hunters is a show that we produced. It took about a year to produce, and it takes a look at how astronomers find planets going around other stars. We found that we give a lot of live shows, and we found that a lot of people are asking, hey, I heard about this new planet being discovered, but they didn't understand how astronomers went about finding them. And so with Planet Hunters, what we try to do is we try to explore some of the different techniques.
And as far as exoplanets are concerned, because that's what we're talking about here.
We're talking about
what is an exoplanet?
Well, quite simply, an exoplanet is simply just a planet that goes around another star. It's not as nuanced as the definitions for our solar system, but it's just simply a planet that goes around a different star.
And how are they discovered?
Well, there's different techniques. There's lots of techniques. Astronomers use lots of different types of telescopes, from ground-based telescopes like the Large Binocular Telescope on Mount Graham here in Arizona, to orbiting telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope and the Kepler Telescope. But there's really quite a few different techniques, and some of them are things called astrometry, where you pay attention to the wobbles of stars against the sky. Radial velocity, which has actually found a lot of the first planets were radial velocity stars, where a planet will tug on a star, and that star will move towards us and move away from us as the planet tugs on it. And so we're able to see that movement.
Yeah, we're seeing one right now where a planet is going right in front of a star. That's another way to discover these things, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, from a far distance, star isn't quite as bright as it once was.
Yeah, from a far distance, finding an exoplanet is not as simple as just aiming a telescope and snapping a picture of it. And so they do rely on different techniques. And the imagery you just saw of the planet passing in front of the star, that's called the transit method. And our technology is so advanced now that even though that planet is light years away from us, very far from us, we can notice a dip in the star's brightness. Even though we don't actually see the planet itself, we notice a dip in its brightness, and we're able to figure out the planets there.
And now, you mentioned Kepler. Kepler recently discovered a really amazing planet, 452b. This is the most Earth-like planet ever discovered?
Well, yes and no. It is the first Earth-like planet discovered going around a sun-like star.
Yes.
We've found about 12 planets in what's called the habitable zone, and we found quite a few different Earth-like planets. But this is the first one that's similar to the size of the Earth.
Right.
And it's also similar, it's going around a star similar to our sun.
And so, and it's located, because it's as close as it is to a sun as near as ours, they call that the habitable zone, correct?
Right, and it depends on the star as to how close that habitable zone is. Basically, it's the zone around a star where liquid water could possibly exist on a planet. And as we all know, we need liquid water for us here, especially in Arizona, but for life to exist here on the Earth. And so if you find a planet in that zone, then there's a possibility it might have water, and there's a possibility that it might have life on it.
So 452b, what we just saw, how far, it orbits every 385 days, my
Correct.
research seems to show. How far away is that thing?
It's 1,400 light years. Now, 1 light year is the distance that light travels in a year, and it's about 6 trillion miles. So it's a long way from us. New Horizons, which just flew past Pluto at 36,000 miles per hour, it took 9.5 years to go from the Earth to Pluto. And that was with some gravitational assist by the large planets. If it were to continue on to 452b, it would take another 25 million years to get there.
25 million?
25 million.
It seems so bittersweet to discover these Earth-like things and know that how are we ever going to find out what's on them?
Well, that actually is a good question, but to me, what's fascinating is that we are discovering them. When I was starting out in high school, there were no exoplanets. And it was, I'm dating myself, but there were no exoplanets. And it was the holy grail, one of the holy grails of astronomy, is to find those planets going around other stars. And then the first ones they found were planets going around a pulsar. And those are planets you shouldn't have there. And the supernova explosion should have destroyed those planets. But they're there. And so it has really kind of opened our eyes as far as planets. And then in the 90s, we started to discover all of these other planets. And it's just, to me, it's an amazing thing that we can look 1,400 light years away and find a planet similar to the Earth.
And very quickly now, when you go to Space Hunters, you see the different ways these things are discovered?
Planet Hunters, that's correct.
I'm sorry, Planet Hunters, yeah.
Yes.
So the different ways, a variety of ways are discovered.
Yeah, and so the show is in really two parts. We have the recorded portion, and we talk about the different techniques, and then in the live portion, we talk about some of the great discoveries that have come down.
Well, very good. Congratulations on the show. Sounds like a lot of fun. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Helios Education Foundation is proud to underwrite Arizona Education, a 12-month series highlighting the issues affecting college and career readiness of our students. Through a decade of strategic partnerships, Helios is working to change lives and strengthen communities through education.